My name is Thomas McHugh. My favorite hobbies are reading, traveling, and hanging out with my wife and grandchildren. I have been married 51 years to my wife, Linda.
We have 2 daughters, and then we have 4 grandchildren. I actually met Tom when I was 16. We were both working at a local, like, five and dime, and he asked me if I wanted to go to my prom.
We've been together since May 23rd, 1968. My quality of life had went down the tubes. My wife, Linda, said, you're sleeping a lot during the day. We can't go to the movies, we can't plan anything because I just drift off to sleep and be asleep for an hour and a half sometimes. We like to go down the shore and walk on the boardwalk. And I found that when we went down there, I had to sit down at every bench that we went to and rest to catch my breath. I said, I got to do something about this. I was going to my cardiologist, and he told me that my heart was getting weaker and weaker, and that I should look into having a device implanted, which I did in 2015. I had a defibrillator pacemaker inserted. It was there I met Dr. Mark.
I first met Tom many years ago when we implanted his very first defibrillator. More recently on our office visits, he had described how his life had become such a fraction of what it had been previous and how the symptoms of heart failure were keeping him from doing the things he loved.
Just the feeling of always being completely wiped out.
It was a chore for him to even walk from the house to the mailbox to get the mail.
I was napping most every day for a couple of hours. It got to the point that I could never actually make plans to go with my kids or my grandkids to go to any of the games they were in or school activities that they were involved with.
We couldn't really both go to any of the games because we didn't know the field if it was going to be too far away from the car for him to walk. So I would usually go just by myself and, go home and tell him about it.
And it was very hard for me just to tell him that Pop's not going to be there because he's got to take a nap.
And that happened 2-3 times a day that he would take like an hour nap. He'd sit down, I'd be talking to him, and I'd look over and he's asleep.
And feel better that I had slept, but worse that I had slept and missed an hour and a half out of my life, which at my age, it counts.
Typically, as patients progress along the natural course of congestive heart failure, they tend to become more and more symptomatic, which often leads to recurrent trips to the hospital, and they become less and less able to accomplish their normal daily activities, and that gradual decline may progress.
It was everything being compounded, and it just seemed to snowball as I got older, and this got worse. It was just part of the life that I was starting to lead that I had started to accept that I really didn't want to accept.
Sometimes there's an opportunity also to provide people with therapies via medical devices in the form of defibrillators or pacemakers that may help improve cardiac efficiency. They save patients' lives, they do. But unfortunately, they don't make people feel better. CCM therapy, it does that. It makes people feel better. It gives people more capability to live the kind of life that they want to live.
I went to another hospital and they suggested that I get an artificial heart.
He came out of there and he said, no. He says, I'm not going to do that.
He had sought expert opinions at an advanced heart failure center, frightened by the idea of going down that path towards heart transplant or VAD. Simultaneously, just about the time when we had the technology of CCM available to us, and it was something that we discussed as an alternative.
He recommended the device called the optimizer. And I looked into it on the internet, and I called Dr. Marks up and told him that I was interested in doing it because it seemed like it was less invasive than having the artificial heart.
CCM therapy is a novel opportunity to improve cardiac function. It stimulates the heart to improve the cardiac contraction, the squeeze of the heart, and that can make symptoms of heart failure much less. There are some patients who respond within the first week, finding themselves to be able to accomplish more and find their exercise capacity to be improved.
I felt the effects of CCM within 2 days. I felt my heart was beating stronger. It just seemed to kickstart everything and help me get going.
After the CCM, he's been able to walk and do a little bit of yard work. He couldn't do yard work for, I'd say, the last 2 years.
Most often there's an improvement in just a general feeling of more energy, more wind, ability to be more ambitious and pursue their interest to a more active degree.
The most surprising result of the CCM therapy was the ability to seem to get back part of my life, because the activity level I have, in fact, my grandson said to me, you know, Pop, you're not sleeping all the time.
Now he's able to engage more in conversations with whoever's there. He feels better.
When you have someone like Tom who's been able to really return to doing the things that he enjoys and loves, I want to offer to as many patients out there as possible who suffer from symptoms of heart failure that limit their ability to enjoy their lives.
I told my wife I want to go down the shore and walk on the boardwalk. And we did, and what I think amazed both of us was I didn't stop at every bench. When you're used to walking 100 foot and then being able to walk a half a mile, boy, that's a godsend.